place. Where's it going?
When the fathers got together that 4th of July day, that's when the land you're standing on became the US of A. United we will stand, but divided we fall. One nation under God says it all. Men are created equal, words written in by hand. They all stand to fight when a cry for freedom rings. Freedom isn't free, it comes with a cost. One nation under God says it all. One nation under God says it all. This old world's changing, it's changing every day. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. Stand up everybody, stand proud and tall. One nation under God says it all.
Good evening and welcome to IITW Radio. We haven't been on in a few days, but I've had a bunch going on, so internet keeps glitching, computers crashing. Before we get started tonight, I gotta give my condolences to Miss Kathy. If you guys and gals remember the firefighter we were collecting money for a few months ago, Melvin Asher, he's been a volunteer in Pomona Park for 19, this would have been 20 years. He passed away a few days ago, so you guys keep his wife in your prayers. We are going to be setting up a GoFundMe account for Melvin's wife because she's on oxygen 24/7, and now that Melvin's gone, but we'll get into more of that on Friday night. His funeral will be Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Baptist Church in Pomona Park. It's right when you turn right on 308. It'll be the Baptist Church, first one you come to. So, well, tonight we got Mr. Greg Williams, a co-host, is always on Tuesday nights when we do our political rant and raves. How you doing, Greg?
Marvelous, simply marvelous.
Got you a haircut.
Yeah.
And your leather jacket on. What are you buying, a Harley now?
Yeah, it's just awful. It's getting a little nippy out there.
I know. I don't even know what it is in the studio. It's in the 50s, though, I'm sure. And tomorrow's the first day of spring, so Mother Nature's got to crap on us at least one more time. Oh, so crap. We missed out last week, and there's a whole lot going on. What do you want to talk about first? The Mueller investigation, O'Rourke, Brazil, Democrats, Twitter, Elizabeth Warren, as always.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I can't. Okay, I don't hear it, but you can hear it. I guess everybody else can hear. I think it's the fact that the Democrats don't give a damn about the Constitution. I mean, this nonsense about getting rid of the Electoral College. I mean, that just proves it. These people don't care about the country. They don't care about the Constitution. The Electoral College is one of the greatest, most ingenious things about our founding fathers. And it was so we couldn't have one or two states run the country. Heck, can you imagine if the rest of the country had the same laws as California, what a basket case this country would be?
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know what the Electoral College is or what it's even about. They just go ahead and spout off of the mouth, that, but I don't think what they understand is your smaller states, like Colorado's, votes wouldn't even be included, and it keeps the smaller states to where it keeps the checks and balances. Our forefathers were brilliant when they came up with that. But
yeah, they really were.
We'll probably get into that next Tuesday night on what that is and give everybody exact details, because we got a whole lot of crap to go on. What do you think about O'Rourke?
Beto! Beto! I like Beto. I think he's trying to sign. I think he got some sign language skills, and I think he's signing, and he's sending subliminal messages through his sign language. Like that. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a subliminal message that's going to Vote for me so I can screw the country up like Obama did.
We should have put some opera music to his. I should have done that tonight instead of having him on there. I got to give some shout outs real quick to Jolie, Desiree, Jessica, Doug, and Desiree. What did she say? What is Electoral College? Electoral College in process. Not a place. Founding fathers established the Constitution as a compromise between elections and the presidents by vote in Congress and elections of the presidents by the popular vote of qualified citizens. The Electoral College consists of 538 electors. We'll get into all that next Tuesday night, Desiree, because it's going to take a while to explain that to people. But yeah, I like O'Rourke. I mean, like you say, he has this whole karate thing going on. What the hell does that even mean? And then he said
everybody was kung fu fighting.
He said he was born to be president.
He's kung fu fighting with himself. He's conflicted. Beto is no more fit to be president than the man on the moon. Beto has he's not presidential timber. He's got no qualifications to be president. And his ideas are far left. He's a left-wing guy like Obama. They dress themselves up as the centrist. You see CNN, who fallen in love with him already. CNN, it says that he's a moderate. You get all these mainstream media, which are all leftist incubators. The whole of mainstream media is a leftist incubator. And you know what I'm talking about, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, all of that. So they're all a bunch of leftists, and they love to describe Beto as a centrist, like they did Obama. He was a centrist. As soon as he got elected, he moved to the hard left, and the country's been suffering ever since. Although it's a lot better the last couple of years because we've got some free market principles restored, and we got a guy in there that loves the country as opposed to blames the country for everything that goes wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love the fact that he went on his talk show with these two black guys and said, yeah, you know, he's basically a product of white privilege. He was born poor, and then he had to walk that back. If it wasn't for his wife, he wouldn't have nothing.
I'm glad you mentioned the whole white privilege thing. Here's what white privilege is about. It's rich white men's guilt. Rich white liberal guilt is what it's all about. I'm a rich white liberal, and, you know, I'm a racist because I'm a liberal. I mean, I'm a white liberal. Okay, the worst thing that ever happened to the black man was a white liberal. So there's a lot of guilt from the white rich liberal, and they want to blame it on white privilege. Okay, well, I've never seen so many rich white liberals so happy about white privilege. I don't suffer from white privilege because I'm not a rich white guy. I'm a working class guy. I'm a middle class guy. You know that whole thing about white privilege, that's a liberal incarnation, and it's about rich white liberals, which have done more to harm black people than any other segment of the population. You heard it here first.
Yeah, apparently if you're successful at all and you're white, you've had white privilege. I had to set these assholes down and explain to them. My mother died when I was little. I was put in a children's home. When I turned 17, I got my butt kicked out on the street. And I don't know what white privilege about, you know. They ain't going to be bringing that crap on me. Plus, I'm American Indian. Okay, you were talking.
Hey, you got more than 1% Indian in you, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I damn sure got more than Elizabeth Warren.
Okay, because, you know, we've all been through that. You know, I'm ad nauseum. That crazy white woman for years got over on institutions of higher education. Go figure. Again, I can't say it enough how stupid Harvard is to buy Elizabeth Warren. Not only that, they pay her about $400,000 a year to teach one class, or they used to. That whole thing in higher education has been a disaster for the last 20, 25 years. That's why the country's in the mess that we're in. What have they been teaching in higher education? Apparently socialism. Why is socialism so attractive to the young people that maybe have a little college? Well, because they're the easiest people to get over on. You know, hey, Give me something free. If it's free, it's for me. Oh, you mean I don't have to work? I can get a check? I mean, the whole thing of socialism is a disaster, but yet that's what they like to teach at Harvard. Now, the medical school is a great school, but man, their social sciences and their political departments and all that, they're all left of center. They're a bunch of left-wing radicals over there, as most of the Ivy League schools are. It's very, very sad.
Well, they should talk. They had Bolsonaro was over at I think it's how you say his name, the president of Brazil, and he was up with Trump today in a rose garden, and they were giving a thing, and he was saying, you know, because Brazil was in a tank for a while, then he became president. He's another Trump. He changed the country around. Now they're actually going to let us shoot off rockets, space program and stuff in Brazil. But today, when the two of them met, and they asked Bolsonaro if he would. If he was going to get involved with Venezuela, and you know Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world until they went to socialism, and then it all caved in. Now those damn people down there don't have water, they don't have medication, they don't have food, they don't have power. They ain't got squat down there now, except for a rich leader and a few individuals that are rich. Besides that, nothing. And I love what he said today about Jim Acosta. Was in there, and I guess he had his hand raised when I was watching it, and Bolsonaro said something about the fake news. About fell out of my chair.
That's great. You must have saw Acosta there. Was Acosta in Brazil?
No, they were having it at the Rose Garden today. At the White House.
He was at the Rose Garden. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but you know this.
CNN, the purveyor of fake news. CNN, all about fake news.
Okay, I got some messages coming in. I got some pictures that I took today. Did you download this, Chris?
They're right here.
I wanted to show some of these people. Now, I go on. It would be the ones from CNN. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, we'll start with this one then.
No, I mean, which one?
Yeah, go back. Not the ones at Fort Gates. We're saving those for Wednesday night. Here we go. This is from CNN. Now, I sat there and watched them for 4 hours last night. And some of the stuff they're putting up, Trump goes on tweet binge full of insults, attacks, TV, criticism. Okay, look at that thing that he got up there. The threat of guns. Okay, wow. My Second Amendment, I'm not going to go out and shoot anybody. I'm not a nut job. And me and my son were having to talk about it last night. If they're going to say that guns kill people, then why don't they take all the DUI people? You know, if a few people drink and drive, which there's thousands.
Anything, you know, and listen, that's all. It is a line of crap. It is, but go ahead.
Yeah, and they're not going off facts. If you have, there's 100-something thousand people, I guess, a year that get killed, and my numbers are off a little bit left or right to that. But you have all these people that get killed in DUIs every year. So does that mean they're going to take all of our freaking cars away from us? You know, because a few are doing that, or people that plow people over in rental trucks like they did in New York, the bike path. You know, and that's crazy. There's more people killed and by baseball bats and everything else. But then you got science, the climate change. Didn't Al Gore say by last year that we would be flooded out in Florida? It would no longer exist.
Listen, the whole science, climate change, you know, we're in the dark ages in regards to science, unquote, climate change. The politicized science, the bastardized science. I've heard some really good science about climate change. And the problem with their whole argument is, yes, climate changes. But you know what we don't do? We don't go back to the Stone Age to make a 0.5% difference in the climate in the next 50 years or 25 years. And now these poor liberals, you know, they were doing the same thing about overpopulation 25 years ago. It was overpopulation. Gee, we're going to have too many people on the earth and we're all going to starve to death. They got rid of that. Now it's global warming. Now it's climate change. Climate change. Really? It's called the weather, folks. And yes, there are things that happen. And yeah, but it's all cyclical. I mean, things happen. And the fact of the matter is, America's got one of cleaner climates of all the industrialized country. I wouldn't trade our climate for Great Britain's climate or France's climate or Europe's climate. I mean, they're smothered in diesel fumes over there for some reason. They got problems in Europe that they can stay over there. If they want to cut their own throats, they can cut their own throats. Now, can we try to burn cleaner energy? Yeah, I can see that. But whenever there's a hurricane or a natural tragedy, that power equipment that helps restore our power and make us comfortable, none of that runs on sunshine. None of it runs on wind. I mean, and I don't like the idea of let's take 10,000 acres and make that a bunch of windmills. Great. Okay, now we've got 10,000 acres we just lost. Okay, when you can get the same amount of energy in about 1 acre or 2 acres if you get different energy. So there's all kinds of sources. I personally would like to see liquefied natural gas. I think if we could do that, we could be running this country nice and clean for the next 100, 150 years. But, you know, that's just my take. But the whole climate change thing has been politicized. The science that they cite is corrupt. And these people like Al Gore, I saw them on live TV last night. Oh, if you don't believe in climate change, then you just don't get it. You're just dumb. No, we're not dumb. We know that the climate changes. We know that we do impact the climate to some extent, but not much. I mean, in the general scheme of things, why should America tie their hands behind their backs and go back to the Stone Age and while the rest of the world prospers? We need to take care of ourselves. We do a good job of taking care of our climate by and large, unless the liberals screw it up like they did under Obama when the Environmental Protection Agency flooded out all that Indian farmland and all that Indian land because they did something stupid over there and let all this pollution flow. And that was by design. You know, I'm not a fan of the climate change argument. I think it's bunk.
Yep. Angie says hello.
Hey, Angie.
I got another one I'm going to put up here. This is your favorite group of women. This is going to be our 80s beauty pageant gang.
Hey, great.
But they had McCain's daughter on CNN, and she was going off about Trump.
You know, I understand that, you know, she loved her dad, but I will tell you this about John McCain. John McCain was dirty. What he did to Trump was a borderline treason. He knew it was bogus. He hated Trump. He never liked Trump. Trump did what John McCain could never do, become president of this country. John McCain was a Democrat dressed up as a Republican. That's why the media loved him. You know, he acted like a Democrat. He knew that was a baloney dossier. He knew it was a bunch of crap, but yet he promoted it. Because he knew who paid for it, probably. John McCain let this country down. I think the last 5 or 6 years of his life, he may have not even had a full deck upstairs. But I understand his daughter wanting to defend him because she loved him. And, you know, he probably was a good dad. But as far as a national politician that really took care of America, John McCain didn't really do much of anything great to make America great again. Trump's doing a lot of things. You know, during John McCain, they closed a lot of military bases. I remember when in the 90s, they were just closing bases as quick as they could, you know, making us weaker and weaker and weaker. And John McCain was all part of that. So I'm not a fan of John McCain.
Well, him and Jim Carrey were also a part of selling off the Indians' land through the Obamacare Act. They put it in there. They sold off their burial grounds for mineral rights to China, which was in cahoots with Iran at the time.
It's terrible. I didn't even know that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he ripped the Indians off and then tells them, oh, here's a piece of desert. It wasn't about that. It was all mountains and where they had their ancestors buried for thousands of years. And
not only that, China shouldn't have the rights to that stuff anyway. China's got plenty of land over there of their own they can mine.
Well, it's Iran until this day. They're still there mining it. So, I mean, that's a bunch of crap. I didn't like when McCain did that. I didn't like several things he did. You know, he killed all those Americans on the ship when he launched his rockets off, but nothing ever happened to him.
Yeah, I'm not. All I can tell you is I understand Meghan McCain loving her father, wanting you, to defend it. But Trump's got every reason to criticize him. When that was released, that McCain, and I knew early on that McCain was partially responsible for that fake dossier because his fingerprints were all over it. He didn't even deny it, and they didn't even talk about it. We knew a lot of this stuff. Nobody talked about it. Now it's like breaking that, the whole thing was corrupt. Well, a lot of us thought it was corrupt from the get-go. We knew it was corrupt. And now they're just now starting to release all the corruption under the Obama Justice Department. So we'll see. I don't know if the Department of Justice could ever recover. To be honest, they've been so unfair with the way they, the double standards that they use.
Yeah, did you see where Robert Kraft from the owner of New England Patriots? Did you see where they're not going to prosecute him?
Well, they're going to give him an opportunity to do the PTI program, which is a pretrial diversion. I mean, it's not easy. He's got to do some community service hours, whatever. Take a class or two. But that's standard on people that don't have a record. Something like that. So it's not unusual. But they're not dropping it. He's got to sign up for that, or they'll probably prosecute him.
Yeah, just before he came on the air, they were on there talking about it. I was reading on the AP where they said all he has to do is apologize and say that he admits what he did was wrong. And then it's an open and shut case.
That could be fake news. I don't know. What I heard was he had to go through a formal PTI program like everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I heard yesterday. And then all of a sudden this afternoon, it's changed all around. So I don't know.
Well, that'll be interesting to find out what happens, that saga. The media's all over that because they love sex stories.
Yep.
Even from old football owners.
But you know what? If you got that much money and you got millions and billions of dollars, why would you go to some little dive dump prostitute place for a massage? I mean, doesn't he know any call girls in Hollywood? I'm sure somebody could have hooked him up. Cheap bastard.
Who knows? Well, all I can tell you is if he traveled, and who knows? I don't know. I mean, you'll have to talk to Mr. Kraft about that.
Hello, Skidmore. Skidmore says, hi, good to see you guys back.
Good to be back.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got on here? Nunez, did you see where he's filed a lawsuit against Twitter, $250 million? And now Trump's filed a lawsuit against Twitter, or against Facebook now. I guess he's going to file one. Yeah, I don't think he's done it yet, but they kicked his butt off the other day. But Nunez, I mean, he said they're, the most biased people in the world, and they keep shutting him out. He had Nunez mom and Nunez cow. That was his Twitter names. But his Twitter following went up from like 1,200 to 12,000 just when they announced that today.
How about that? I like Nunez. I think he's doing what needs to be done. We got too many libs trying to not educate, but indoctrinate our country. These guys at Google are terrible. They're terrible. Google is almost anti-American. And I don't like the fact that they're allegedly helping China. They'll deny it. They're giving China technology and acting like it's not going to the military. But just about every technology that America, that China gets from America, somehow has military applications. But Google is a big disappointment to me, as is Twitter. Why not just not direct the content? And it's okay. Conservatives are conservatives. They have a right to free speech too. You don't have to, agree with everything that the conservatives say, but they have a right to be heard.
Yeah,
we win the battle of ideas.
We got a couple of questions we need to answer. As Skidmore said, programs are useless for this type of crime. He will always buy sex. He thought no one would ever notice. Yep, I'm sure of that. Martha's man wrote in and said, how would Greg, she's got a question for you directly, Greg. She said, how would you defend the Hollywood elite college payoff? Would you, would love to hear what kind of defense would you use?
Well, here's what I would do. I would, first of all, I would humble myself. I have, there's like some beautiful people there. I mean, Lori Loughlin, she's 50 years old and a lot of Hallmark movies. I've enjoyed a lot of her movies. She does some of these mystery movies. She's good. It's a damn shame they banned her, okay? Her mistake was she was blinded by some con man who said, give me $500,000 and I'll get you $2 in USC, which I don't even think is that great a school. It's University of Southern California. I don't think it's a dime's worth of difference. I mean, to be honest, they're a little bit live out there. And if you're a conservative, they'll shout you down. So UCLA Berkeley doesn't do much for me. But anyway, it's a big deal to them in California. So apparently her daughters were so dumb that it cost $500,000 to get them into USC, okay, to pull the strings. They're so dumb and so stupid. Instead of $100,000, it was $500,000. But what I would like to see is I'd like to make lemonade out of that lemon. If they can afford $500,000 to some con man to get their daughter in school, why not fund a scholarship fund for $500,000 or $1 million for academic, financially challenged, academically gifted students? Maybe make amends. Let's take that negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah, but how would you defend them in court? Would you go?
2 kids got in school, but maybe she could fund another 100 kids' education.
How would you defend them in court, though? Would you go in there and say, look, I throw that my client on the mercy of the court. They're total dumbasses. They just wanted the best for their kids, or their kids are so freaking stupid, Your Honor. Let's bring them in and talk to them,
Well,
now you see why they had to pay.
Cases like that very rarely go to trial, okay? Basically, you'll have a defense lawyer that's going to try to, put his clients in the most favorable light. And then the state attorney who is seeking justice. But what really is justice for a good mom, by and large, who just is mainly guilty of loving her kids to the extent that she'd pay somebody to try to get them in school. Now, in other words, cheat. And you'll notice that most of the people that were doing this were rich white people with what they call white privilege.
White privilege. Okay?
They were white privileged people, but they didn't have very smart kids, so they ended up cheating. Well, that's the Democratic way. I mean, I'm more concerned when just to pivot on Fox hiring Donna Brazile, who wanted to cheat for Hillary and feed her the questions in the debates. Donna Brazile has no real credibility because she's such a partisan, and yet Fox goes and hires her.
So did you see
I'm watching One American News more than I used to.
Did you see they gave Judge Jeannie Pirro the boot?
They fired her?
Well, I don't know if they fired her yet, but they shut her down.
I'm hoping they bring her back because you know what? If Judge Jeannie offended the Muslim Brotherhood or CARE, more power to her. I mean, only in America do we have basically organizations that are anti-American running around trying to basically work against the interests of this country. And CARE is a front for a lot of these Muslim terrorist organizations. And the Muslim Brotherhood, golly Moses, are outlawed in many, many countries. And Obama had them working in the damn White House. Hired as many of them as he could in the federal government. We still have the fleas of the Obama legacy. I mean, this guy weaponized about 10 or 12,000 federal employees before he left. So, and they're still trying to undermine Trump.
Well, did you see today, this afternoon, where it came out that one of Obama's, he got registered, Greg Craig, who was a White House counsel on Obama's council. He got busted for being.
He goes back. I believe he goes back to the Clinton administration. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was in Obama's era, and he got nailed for the same thing that Manafort did. And Manafort's going to prison on a bunch of different charges, but one of the charges was for being unregistered as an overseas lobbyist. And this guy's got the same thing. And I guess Mueller, he's forced to look at something now on the Democratic side.
Well, you know what? If Mueller wants any credibility at all, you cannot do a one-sided bias investigation. Okay? You want to look at Russian collusion, there's lots of it there. It all points to Hillary and Steele and the DNC and the Department of Justice itself. The DNC and the FBI, I think, were the ones paying Steele for the dossier, you know, and most of that came from all kinds of weird Russian collusion stuff. I mean, Hillary got a free pass. All the Democrats got a free pass. There's another guy who ran the Democratic Party. I want to say Posner or whatever it is. His brother is the same kind of guy that Manafort is. But you know what? They give all the Democrat crooks immunity for some reason.
Well, Andrew Weissman is getting nailed now because, according to him and that Fossey dossier, they gave it to Bruce Orr. And Orr said he was never involved in the investigation, yet it was given to him before the investigation even started. So he was involved.
Also interesting about that dossier was when Steele was writing it, he got paid like $1 million to make it up. And his source was CNN. They had some CNN thing where people could call in, you know, the left-wing CNN platform. So you had Trump haters writing in, and he just copied what they wrote down, and there's his source.
Well, Andrew Weissman.
It's a big circle. CNN and a big circle planning these stories. And that's another thing the libs do that really irritate me. They get some third-rate, fourth-rate media company to make some ridiculous allegation, not based on facts, just innuendo, not even verified, 90% of the time not true. And then here comes CNN reporting it. Here comes MSNBC reporting it. All these mainstream liberal media types want to report some garbage only to have to recant it a week later or 2 or 3 days later. It happens all the time, and it's ridiculous. But again, the American people have seen it up close, and, you know, we have CNN to thank for fake news.
Well, here's another CNN thing. That woman has more makeup. I hope she never gets in an accident. I bet it pops off like plastic. But I probably shouldn't be bashing her. But yesterday it says Trump's aide defended his mental fitness and deny he's a racist. Well, yeah, I mean,
that's the Democratic Party. They want to call every Republican a racist. They call George W. Bush a racist. Anybody that gets the Republican nominee, by definition, is a racist, according to Democrats. And that is crap. That's a load of crap. Okay? Most of the racists that I know are white liberals.
Yep. I don't see how they keep calling Trump a racist when he's, you know, he's shot down the KKK, white supremacy, all this other stuff. Doug Williams wrote saying the House.
He might have misspoke a little bit about the Charlottesville thing, but you know they totally take him all out of context on that. Were there people in the Charlottesville thing that were just bystanders that weren't part of the white supremacy group? Yes. Were there people in the Charlottesville thing that weren't on the left? They were just people that happened to be there. So any event, they want to blow that up. If that's all they've got, then that's all they've got.
Well, it was also
people are tired of the name calling from the left in terms of every Republican is a racist. That is garbage.
It was also proven that they were paid. It was Soros and them. They paid them all out. Doug writes in.
Well, you know,
Doug writes in.
Someone said Soros was in Guatemala or was taken into custody. He's wanted in many countries. I don't know why he gets to run around, fly all over the states. Beyond me.
Doug writes in the House of Cards is going to fall, and Pauline said they stopped watching the news years ago.
Hey, I understand.
Well, you kind of have to watch all of them. It's like putting a crossword puzzle together, and you get down to the last piece, you know, and you got clumps over here, clumps over there, and clumps over here. And you try to put it all together to come out with one big picture, and there's always one piece missing.
Well, here's the other thing, too. I mean, CNN, even Channel 4 here in Jacksonville, which is on a CNN feed, You know, when they do local stories, Channel 4, they're pretty good. They start getting into politics. They're on a CNN feed. They're parroting CNN, and it's ridiculous. Same thing with CNN. They do some good work on non-political stuff. You know, they've had some good things. But when they get talking politics, they're so jaded and they're so left-wing, and whoever the nut job is that runs CNN is so blind and so stupid. He thinks he's doing something right. All he's doing is alienating half the country, if not more than half. I think it's about 55-45 right now on the good side. I think that right now about 55% of the country leans conservative, maybe 45 leans liberal. Not a lot in between, unfortunately.
Did you see Michael Cohen's search warrant?
No.
That thing was like, it's I think 400 some pages. I've only gotten through about 10 pages of it, but there's 19 pages in there that are completely blocked out, and that's because of what was he saying in court, that the Southern District of New York he's involved with another investigation on Trump on that. I mean, how many investigations they got on this poor bastard?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. The Southern District of New York
is a joke.
I'm not impressed. The state of New York, I'm even less impressed with. The Attorney General for the state of New York State elects the dumbest politicians I think I've ever seen. I mean, New York State even elected Hillary Clinton to be senator. Really? She's an Arkansas resident, had no real connections to New York, but yet they made her a senator. The last good senator New York had was a guy named Alfonso or D'Amato, whatever his name was. He was a pretty good guy. But they really elect a lot of idiots over there. Their attorney general in the state of New York reminds me a lot of the unsuccessful candidate for the governor of Georgia. Flaming lib. Ignorant. Wants to let anybody vote. You know, that's another thing. Who says you can just cross the damn Rio Grande? You're here in the States. Come get a driver's license. And by the way, make sure you vote on election day. How about, maybe, I'm all for immigration, but legal immigration. Legal and safe immigration. I'd like people that immigrate to America to have a physical, to get some health care. Maybe get keep the people with these terrible diseases out, or at least put them in quarantine and cure them before you release them into, the general public. I mean, typhoid's on its rise. We got these rare diseases coming in from our southern border. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Hello, Sue. Pauline wrote in. She said, oh, my God, yes, can't stand New York politics. It's a crap show. But Martha wrote in, and it's got something that says, which is exactly my next point. Did you see your favorite woman there, Nancy Pelosi, Miss Beauty Pageant, a 19 or 80-year-old beauty pageant?
Yeah, what about Nancy? Nancy's got her hands full. The question for Nancy is, does she want to get stuff done, or do you want to just, blow 2 years? Because, all she can do, she could actually try to rein in these left-wing lunatics that are destroying the Democratic Party, or she can ride that horse. I'd like to see her move to the center and get some stuff done. There's no reason we couldn't get transportation bill through and get some infrastructure bills done. But, Pelosi is so corrupt. What she'd like to do is pass another one of those payoff bills like they did with Obama, when they wasted $1 billion on some bill that was nothing more than paying off a bunch of Democrat supporters.
Well, instead of her getting torn up by AOC and Omar and them, what she needs to do is go in there and spank their little asses and straighten them out. And the other thing she was saying last night and this morning is the new voting age should be 16. Well, if you're going to let them,
the Democrats want as many dumb people. They want to dumb down the populace. This all goes back to the Podesta memos. He said, we've already got education. They want to dumb down the population. They want to have the dumbest voters. They want to have people so dumb that they will believe them. Okay? I don't believe the Democratic Party. I don't believe the president when he says you can keep your doctor. I don't believe 90% of what the Democratic Party is selling. Okay? And now they want, and I'm a free thinker, but they want people that are 16 that don't even have a fully developed brain, for crying out loud. Let's go have them vote. Well, you know, I'm not surprised because they want illegals to vote too. The Dems don't give a damn about our country. They don't give a damn about our citizens. And no, children should not be allowed to vote. They need to learn.
Yep. And you know what? At 16, they still haven't finished civics. They haven't taken, by that point, they haven't taken what are the problems in American democracy. They probably don't even know what the industrial age was. I mean, stuff, they just don't know what politics are. And, oh, yeah, here, this looks good. Here's a piece of candy. Go ahead and suck on it. Next thing you know.
Easy. Young people are easy to indoctrinate. Just give them a beer or a joint, and they will follow the leader. I mean, I'm telling you, they're not that hard to convince. Give them something free. And, you know, that's the problem. I mean, you know, it's easy to get over on young people with no education, which is why the Democrats want them to vote. I don't trust the Democratic Party one iota.
Martha said, I really think Pelosi is demented seriously. Pauline said that Nancy is insane 100%. Skidmore says she's destroying the Democratic Party.
Well, you know, I don't know if Nancy's destroying it or the left is destroying it, but here's the point. Nancy is a creature of the left. So Nancy's a pretty left-wing person herself. She's way left. But now you got people in the Democratic Party that make Nancy Pelosi look almost, as according to CNN, moderate. Nancy Pelosi is no moderate. Chuck Schumer's no moderate. And Beto O'Rourke is no moderate. But you'll hear CNN every day. He's a moderate Democrat. That's another lie and more fake news from CNN.
Well, at 16, they really don't even haven't really paid taxes or anything else, so they don't know how hard they're getting screwed by the government.
The whole idea. I don't know what's dumber, that or the Electoral College. Get rid of the Electoral College, which will never happen. They will never get rid of the Electoral College. They will never pull our guns from our hands, okay? We love guns. We love God. Good luck taking either one of them away from us.
Well, the Democrats now are wanting to add extra seats. I mean, you got O'Rourke, you got Pelosi, you got Feinstein, all these different Democrats and a few Republicans talking about adding extra seats to the Supreme Court, which is totally insane.
Name one Republican. What Republicans think that's a good idea? Because I want to know so I can get on the horn. And anybody that thinks that's a good idea is an idiot.
Let's see. Skidmore wrote some.
9 is plenty. 9 is plenty. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, you need to off balance there.
We try to do, but again, nobody's going to get that done. You know what Pelosi's doing right now? She's passing one bill after another that has not one chance ever seeing the light of day in the United States Senate.
Nope. Never will.
She's wasting her time.
Skidmore wrote in and said Dems have lost the majority of the demo party. Only place to go is 16 years who know nothing about it. And
absolutely right. She's absolutely right.
Pauline said, I don't know about y'all, but I sure as heck know what stupid crap I was doing at 16. I got to say that too.
Yeah.
And then Jolie wrote in, the way they are teaching now, even at graduation, they won't know any of that stuff. Hell, they don't even teach them how to balance a freaking checkbook.
Hey, I'm glad we have DeSantis in. I hope Governor DeSantis, I would love to meet him. He's done a great job. But I hope that he says, maybe we should put books back into school. Maybe having a reading book would be good for each student. Our kids, my kids now in the 7th grade, she hasn't had a book since maybe the 1st grade. And then we had some idiot from Harvard here named Vitti, who's now screwing up the school system in Detroit. But his idea was, let's get rid of all books. Great. Well, we're teaching kids with no books. Give me a break.
Oh, yeah, the systems are easy to hack into. I met a couple of kids that had actually hacked one of the high schools here, And whenever they want to change their test grades, they just go in and change them. And they don't even teach. They don't even teach cursive. Cursive's not even taught in school anymore.
And we had an argument about that. I can't say an argument. I remember we addressed that when my kid was in the 5th grade, and it's almost, and they were getting out of it. I mean, really, our kids are not going to want to be able to read the Declaration of Independence. I personally like to sign my name. I try to make mine as big as John Hancock's.
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Only I can read it. I'm channeling Beethoven. Only I can read my signature.
Martha puts, if they take away the Second Amendment, the others will fall quickly. Yes, they will.
You're absolutely right, and that's not going to happen.
Yep. When I took my son Jolie wrote in, they can't even sign their names. It's all printed. Which the guy was when my son went to get his driver's license, they were all impressed that my 16-year-old son could actually wrote his name in cursive. She was like, "Well, we don't see that anymore." She goes, "Who taught you cursive?" "Oh, my dad."
That is so sad. Our education system, Common Core, Jeb Bush, whoever the hell was backing the Common Core program was a complete idiot, okay? You had Gates and you had these computer guys that all had great educations. They may not have gotten through Harvard. They all dropped out of college, but they learned to read like you and I learned to read. But no, that's not good enough for the next generation. Let's go ahead and make a bunch of circles, take all their books away, and then choke them where they can't even really learn to read. I mean, it's terrible how they teach. Reading we've been teaching for 200 years. Now it's more difficult. Really? We got more people that have trouble reading than we should ever have. We have more people that have trouble with math than we should ever have. Oh, with Common Core math, you have the right answer and your answer. Or whatever. They had like 4 or 5 ways to make 2 + 2 equal anything but 4. I didn't get it. What they did was they alienated the parents who are no longer able to help kids with their homework because there's no books. It's like a bunch of stupid stuff. I mean, Common Core was a disaster, and everybody knows it.
I don't know if I told you, when I first went up to Tallahassee when they were talking about bringing Common Core in, and I went up for the meeting, and the lady says, hand to God, the woman says, now, if a student writes 3 times 4 is 13, or 3 times 4 is 11, and as long as they do the Common Core formula, do not mark that wrong, because the kid at least tried. So don't mark it wrong. Mark the answer right. And then so I raised my hand and I said, she goes, yes, sir. And I said, now, is this the same dumbass kids that we're going to have that if 3 times 4 doesn't equal 12 and it equals 13 or 11, is these the same kids that are going to be designing my house so that the low bearing doesn't add up and they're off by a couple 100,000 pounds, or the kids that's doing my taxes and I get arrested and thrown in jail because, well, they tried, but they didn't get it right.
Right.
Kiss my ass.
Oh man, you hit on a lot there. You're so correct. You're so right about that. It's just sad. I mean, 2 + 2 is 4. It's all it's ever going to be, and they want to change that dynamic. Again, there's no truth with the Democratic Party. There's no such thing as truth. It's your truth, my truth, anybody's truth. Anybody can say what they want to do. I feel like a woman. I identify like a woman. I'm Bruce Jenner. Call me Jeanette. Whatever. The whole thing is stupid. No, I don't know what to tell you. It's like anything that is non-traditional, the left is all about. Okay? I mean, they don't like marriage. They don't like nuclear families. They don't like people that work for a living. I mean, what are they about? They're about illegal aliens? Really? Letting them vote? They're all about power. That's all they care about. And Trump is right about that. The Democrats care nothing about you or me. They only care about power.
Okay, last topic, and then we got to get out of here. Is that I saw where a few of the Democrats now are going to try to get a bill sponsored and put through Congress to eliminate the Senate. Now, is that ever going to pass the Senate where they're going to eliminate themselves?
It's hilarious. So would that be like, is that more OAC stuff?
Oh, Omar,
OAC
all of them.
And Omar and those idiots.
Actually, it's some of the older farts that's talking about it now.
I can't believe the people in Minnesota elected Omar. I can't believe that 12,000 people, it was only 12,000 votes that OAC got. Nobody apparently voted in that election. But the fact is, a bartender who's dumb as a box of rocks, who's almost gestures as much as Beto, and says nothing. I mean, this lady can run on and literally say nothing. And she doesn't even know what she's saying. But I like the Green Deal. I think the Democrats really need to run on that.
Yeah, it's only going to cost $96 trillion to enforce it, which
listen,
our national debt's only $20 trillion, 22.
What they don't tell you about the Green Deal is it's got a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the environment. It's about controlling what you eat, what you drink, how you live. I mean, these people are idiots, okay? The so-called elite that are running the country are anything but elite. There's a lot of crooked Democrat politicians. I know there are some crooked Republicans too, but I believe there are more crooked Democrats. That's all I can tell you.
Hey, it will increase. I was thinking about this. It will increase and boost our economy with wine selling. Because you know how many bottles of wine are going to have to drink to get all them corks to plug every cow's ass up in the United States to keep them from farting?
Golly, just imagine.
Let's see, Pauline said that would be tossing out the checks and balances systems, and that needs to be, yep, you're exactly right. That's why there's the different branches of government so they can keep the other ones in check.
And that's another ingenious thing. You know, thank God for the United States Senate. Thank God for divided government. I mean, when I say divided government, you have a Senate and a House. The House and the Senate got to agree before it gets to the president, who may or may not agree with them. But by the time they all agree, generally you got something that we can live with.
Yep. All right, well, we got to get out of here. I'm going to give you the last word. The night went by quick.
Okay, well, here it is. Here it is. Democrats are bad. Vote for Trump. Save the country. We need 4 more years of Trump to fix the mess that Obama made.
I got to agree with that. I don't see anybody else that's going to do it.
I hope he got it out. But anyway, you can hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe because I don't know if it was picking up or not. All right, well, listen, we'll see you next week.
All right, Mr. Greg, you have a good week.
You too, my friend.
Have a good weekend. All right.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. That was Greg Williams, attorney at law, up out of Jacksonville, Florida. And if you need a good attorney, and Greg will work with people, and he does work in Putnam County. He said he got a call today from somebody down here. He didn't give any details. He just said, hey, I got a call from Palaca. Yeah, I've got to represent somebody down there, so we'll have lunch when you come down. By the way, Greg, if you're still listening, no Dunkin' Donuts, buddy. We got to go high class. We're going to hit the new Popeyes chicken. But that was his number. He's up in Jacksonville. Just scroll back. If you're on Facebook, you can see it. If you're listening to the radio show, you can go to check it out on YouTube or Facebook. You can go over to The Putman Way or IITW Radio. Or IITWradio.com. You can check it all out on this different stuff. But thank you guys and gals for listening. Before we get out of here, I want to talk a little bit about Melvin Asher. For you that weren't joining in earlier, he was a volunteer firefighter over in Pomona Park at Station 10, I believe. For this year would have been his 20th year, and he passed away the other day. We're going to be having his funeral is on Saturday at 11 a.m. in the Baptist Church on 308 in Pomona Park. So you can be there to show your support. Go over there. I'm sure his wife would love to see you. Now, it might be crowded. You might have to stand outside, but I'm sure they'll have some speakers. If not, I'll bring my Bluetooth and plug it in outside so you guys and gals can listen to it. We are going to be setting up a donation for Melvin because it happened. He was out. I'll just tell you guys this. I've got an article that I'm writing about it, but right before Melvin died, he got cut off of his benefits and stuff. And this, matter of fact, the state government was going to charge him $40,000 back pay because he was still being a volunteer firefighter. Melvin loved his job. He loved helping people, and he loved saving lives. Melvin was a hell of a man. I'm glad to call him my friend. And I talked to him a few days before that, but he went out that morning to go get some extra money so he could pay for his wife's medication. She's on oxygen 24/7, and then he was helping put it in the door. Took a couple steps, and boom, he was gone. He actually passed away at the hospital, but he had a massive heart attack. But I'll get more into that on the article that I've got coming up Thursday night. There will be a GoFundMe going up tomorrow night. So if you can help, even if it's, I think GoFundMe is a minimum of $5, they charge you $1. So it's $6. His wife is going to need help because in the volunteer fire department, our government, our county officials, nobody stands up for these people. Even though they volunteer for 20 years out there, there's no type of fund set up unless they got hurt in a 24-hour period of being on call. And that has to be, if I'm right, he has to be paid in order to get that. So his wife doesn't have jack squat. She's going to need groceries. She's going to need cash. She's going to need all kinds of stuff. And stuff that Melvin was out trying to do and bring in a few extra dollars. Now, I don't mean to disrespect Miss Kathy, but Melvin would want me to say this right now. Melvin had been going to food banks and stuff because his business had gone downhill. And you guys and gals can go back and read the article about him and stuff that we put up. We were able to help save his house for a while and get his taxes paid and stuff for him. But now that Melvin's not around, you know, she's going to need all the help she can get. And she had to endure just as much as he did when he went out on the calls, not knowing if he was ever going to come back to her again. And they had been married for a long time. And anyways, it just happened. He went out, and it's one of those things. He didn't come back again. And the last thing she said to me was, I asked her if there's anything that we can do. And she didn't ask for money, any of that. She just said, is there any way you can bring Melvin back? And I said, no. And she goes, well, I don't know. And she wasn't being a smart ass about it. But that brings me to the point of our volunteer firefighters. We're going to be having Tammy is going to be putting up the Quench the Thirst for Putnam County. That is a program Tammy and I came up with 4 years ago. And over the years, every year we raise about 150,000 bottles of water for our volunteer firefighters. And it's not us, it's you guys and gals going into places like Hitchcock's and Interlochen, East Palatka, seeing Mary over at Save-A-Lot. You walk in, you can buy a case of water, which is like, they put it on sale, so it's like $3-4 for a case of water, $2 something, some places. You can get them a case of water, a thing of Gatorade. But go up and thank these firefighters. I mean, how many people's lives did Melvin save that never walked up and thanked him? Or how many volunteer firefighters save people's lives and they're not looking for a thank you? But I tell you what, it sure helps them. Melvin, the one thing he told me is a couple weeks before he passed away is that he wished that a lot of people were a little more grateful for what they do, because they look at them like they're being paid, and they don't get squat. $4 to $8 a call, that's bullcrap. So make sure you thank a volunteer firefighter. Make sure you thank your first responders when you see them, and your sheriffs and your local police, because these guys and gals go through a hell of a beating just to be there for us, especially our volunteer firefighters that don't get paid squat. But I want to thank you guys and gals for listening. We do have the Fort Gates thing. I don't think we're going to be on the air tomorrow night. There's a chance that we won't, because we're trying to get the Fort Gates ferry moved up to St. John's Shipbuilding. I got to give them a shout out over there. We're moving the barge up there tomorrow. Hopefully they're going to be able to cut the bottom off. We still need people to donate on that. I mean, that barge is almost 100 years old, 80s, 90 years old now. And so we're going to try to keep it around for historical purposes. Chris, say hi. There's Chris. Where's my hobbit hand at? There's my hobbit hand. Don't put the one up with only 4 fingers, too. That's the hobbit. All right, guys and gals, we got to get out of here. Who did we open up with? Calvin O, One Nation Under God. And we're going to close it out with Austin Neal, Brother in Arms. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Listen to these songs. Our artists give us these songs to put up for you guys and gals to listen to. And one other thing before I get out of here, I still got 10 seconds. Look at the businesses scrolling by. You got Buddy's Home Furnishing. You got Satsuma Produce. Oh, hell, I got to show this real quick. This is called a canary melon. They have these up at the produce stand in Satsuma and also in East Palatka. I think they're like $1. And Give me that watermelon. Thank you. I found out today how to tell a good watermelon. You don't flick them. You look for this stuff called webbing on here, and I think it's on the one you got, Chris. You want it to see a good cream color right here, not white, and make sure there's some good striping going on. But look at the end of the plug. Make sure that thing is hard. If it's soft or get wet coming out of it, it's not completely grown yet and sweetened up, and you look for the webbing on here too. This little brown spots is called webbing. But thank you, Satsuma Produce, or the stand, and check them out and go up to East Palaca Produce Stand. They're right there by the weight station. They have some kick butt strawberries right now. God, those things are good, and pineapples and all kinds of stuff. All right, well, we're out of here. I got to give my shout-outs to Mama B, Miss Debbie, Tammy, my partner in crime, my best friend, Annette up in Louisiana, and Audrey up in Louisiana. Who else do we got? Cindy Shaw, and I think that's it. Oh, Joe from Florida Paving and Trucking. I got to give him a shout-out. Joe's been helping with stuff. Also, one last shout-out to all the people and businesses that are donating to the Save Fort Gates Ferry. Thank you, and all the individuals that have helped with that. Thank you. Home Depot over there. Bob the builder, assistant manager, he donated the bumpers and stuff yesterday, and saw blades and paint for the tug. What else was it?
Oh, wood, everything.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. Anyways, thank you, Bob. He's on vacation, so I'm sure he'll hear this, or he might be listening tonight since he doesn't have to work tomorrow. All right, we love you guys. We'll see you.
See the guitar in the corner, it's the one I learned to play on. Believe me or not, it's been all around the world. It's been back and forth to Georgia, Carolina a couple times. But there's that one trip that takes me back in time. On a plane ride to a foreign land, a journey had begun. To a different time with my old man, watching them old dogs run, telling stories and comparing battle scars. Well, they're always among us, the brothers in arms. Back to those nights of sitting there, writing letters home, to picking that old 6-string just to keep from feeling alone. Seen some tough times, some crying eyes, but never quit on me. Been through hell and back, even brought us back to where our hearts need to be. On a plane ride to a foreign land, a journey had begun. A different time with my old man, watching them old dogs run, telling stories and comparing battle scars. And they're always among us, brothers in arms. On a plane ride to a foreign land, a journey had begun. To a different time with my old man, watching them old dogs run, telling stories and comparing battle scars. Well, they're always among us, brothers in arms.
That's what I was waiting. That's where it's at. I was waiting for it.
He was having a virgin wedding.
My doctor told me my fat ass needs to lose 25 pounds.